Welcome to the Veronica Edwards Show, where we have fun, financial conversations that everyone listening can apply to their personal and professional life. I'm your host, Veronica Edwards, CPA, and today we are back, Season 5 in 2025. We are completely independent, sponsored by Balance Virtually, LLC, my accounting and consulting business. And I definitely want to shout out the V team, as always, as we are transitioning from just being audio on veronicaedwards.buzzsprout.com to being on YouTube. So thank you guys so much for supporting. We have a whopping 25 subscribers, but I appreciate everyone. And our goal for this season is 1,000 subscribers before the end of season 5, which is at the end of the summer. And this show airs in May. So we still have some time for you guys to support. If you want to be a sponsor, a guest, or you just want to listen, please head over to balancevirtually.com, or you can go to YouTube for the Veronica Edwards Show or veronicaedwards.buzzsprout.com. So jumping into today's show, I'm super excited. I put in my accounting white collar shirt on for this guest because she is a bookkeeping extraordinaire, darling. Miss Lashaun Scott holds a very special place in my heart. She was my very first guest 4 years ago on Biz Radio. Shout out to Matt Matan, the founder. He was technically my first guest as the owner, but Lashaun was my first guest outside of Biz Radio. So we thought it would be only right to have Lashaun help us kick off this new chapter. So let me give a quick bio of Miss Scott's background. So Lashaun is a payroll services and certified QuickBooks Pro advisor and has more than 15 years of experience in serving as a virtual administrator for CEOs across the country. In 2010, she found Bookkeeping Virtually, love that name, specializing in providing online QuickBooks training, setup, support, and advisory services to a variety of small businesses. She brings expertise and hands-on experience to her role. Her comprehensive knowledge of accounting includes payroll services, general ledger postings, accounts payable and accounts receivable, and invoicing. Additionally, Lashaun enjoys spending time with her husband and adult children and takes many trips to the beach and the mountains with her extended family. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Miss Lashaun Scott back.
Thank you so much, Veronica. I so appreciate you having me back. This is so exciting. I'm so proud of you and excited for you at the same time.
Yes. How does it feel coming back on camera?
Wow. I'm never on camera, even when I do Zooms with clients. So I just had to put on clothes today because I normally work in my pajamas.
Yes, I'm getting used to putting on a bra, putting on clothes, putting some lips on, all that fun stuff.
Yep.
So, Lashaun, I would love for you to tell us your story because it's been a minute since you've been on. And I also want to shout out that it's April the 15th that we're recording. So thank you. Lashaun was already on a call at 8:20 a.m. and then jumping on to record with me. So thank you. But please tell us your personal story and what led you to being one of the best bookkeepers that I know.
All right. Thank you, V. So I started with a client in 2006, and she owned her own consulting business. So I was working with her from 2006 to 2008, and she moved to Australia. So that meant, oh, wow, I need to find another job. So I started working with a company in Greenville, South Carolina. At the time, it was called 10 Best, and I was working with the CEO and helping him with his books, etc. So he no longer needed someone full time in the office after a couple of years. So I was downsized in that position. So the client that was in Australia needed more help, even though she was out of the country. So I started using QuickBooks in 2009. That was back when QuickBooks there were no online videos. There was no online training.
Ooh.
You had an actual,
You couldn't cheat.
No cheating. You had an actual physical manual that I literally printed out and went, page by page and did the training and certification that way. So I started that. And so my business grew so that client that I worked for that was downsized for part-time, he still needed QuickBooks assistance. And then I had another client besides the client in Australia. So it just grew from there. So then the majority of my clients currently come from word of mouth. I haven't received any new clients that someone else didn't tell me about in several years. But it's been really great. I love working from home. I love the convenience of it. But I had to, once I was downsized, figure out what my next plan was. And I had a lady I met with who was a CPA, and just simply said to me, become QuickBooks certified and the work will come.
Ooh, so you started in '06, and when did you have to downsize and you had to pivot?
It was in 2012 is when I worked from, on and off and kind of part-time. And so in 2012, I went from 40 hours a week to 16.
Ooh.
Yeah, 40 hours a week to 16. So I was like, okay. And I literally met with her that next week after I found out I was being downsized. And that's when she told me to become QuickBooks certified. So I spent a good bit of the summer doing the training. I would do it in between trying to look for other work and other jobs and things like that. And so it took a while because there wasn't the online availability. Now, you can watch some videos and in a day you can be updated on all the new services and the things that are available that you didn't have to in turn take a test for. So I redo my certification every year.
Yes.
For QuickBooks.
And Lashaun always helps me out. Not that we be cheating or anything, but Lashaun knows the code. So I'll be like, Lashaun, my test's coming up. And so you put me on the classes and the different things. I remember you would go down to Atlanta and different places and do the education.
Yes, I've actually gone to Atlanta to do certification online or advanced certification, which I decided it was just too much for me based on what I was using. I said,
Right.
if I get to the level where I need to know more in depth about different payrolls, as if I was running payroll myself and not through QuickBooks, but now with AI and all the other services that are available, becoming QuickBooks certified is really sufficient enough. And then based on the number of clients you have, you can have elite status based on the services that you have with QuickBooks and how many accounts. So I currently have 34 or 35 QuickBooks accounts that I manage.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Again, I want to be like Lashaun when I grow up. I just want to take this time, Lashaun, because you were a big catalyst that helped me launch my own business. And I don't know if you remember this, probably like 8 years ago, I was going to be virtually balanced. And they did not have the domain name. I laugh now because when you're so stuck on a name, I'm like, my name is going to be this. And you were like, just flip it and be balanced virtually. That's a name that's available. And you truly have been a mentor to me. You helped me with all the setup with, okay, you need to get a business bank account and you need to set up your LLC. And even though people are like, well, you are a CPA, and I was working and all these things, but I wasn't in the small business world. And you really, really, really helped me. And I feel like mentorship is so necessary, especially with minority-owned businesses, especially among Black females. You don't hear a lot that we're reaching out and helping each other. So I just want to say on YouTube, thank you, Ms. Scott, because I would not be here today if you did not see something in me to encourage me. And even though we don't talk as much as we used to, I just always want you to know I will always be indebted to you. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, V, so much. I feel the same way about you because you remember way, way back in the day, I started working with a client at InterServe Hospitality. I was just reconciling their books. And then you came on the scene and then you were relocating. You were like, I think Lashaun will be perfect for this position. So you started the whole relationship. I know somebody, a Black female who is competent to take on this position. And so it's just a circle of life. And this is what we should do to support each other as Black women-owned businesses, period. So you started all this and I was just paying it back. I was just paying you back for everything that you had done for me. I still have that client. So I really appreciate it.
That's one thing about you, Lashaun, is you keep your clients, girl. Like they don't go away. You keep them. So that's why I'm very impressed with how you mentioned the first 6 years, like all of us, we feel like we got it going on, but there's always going to be a pivot and you have to be agile and you have to know like, okay, what I did a year ago might not even work this year. So kudos to you that you're still in business. Can you believe you'll be 20 years old? In business next year when you get to 2026.
I can't believe it. The time has gone by so fast. And I mean, it's just been an amazing journey, but I do appreciate the people that I work with are always starting new businesses. So if
Yes.
I am working with this person, it's like, okay, now I'm going to build some cottages and I'm not going to do consulting anymore, or I may continue to do consulting, but I'm also going to build cottages in Travelers Rest, South Carolina. I'm going to now build cottages in Brevard, North Carolina, as one of my clients. I have a couple clients that own painting businesses, and that client just recently started renting out, buying buildings and renting them out. So I
Wow.
literally just got two new QuickBooks. Well, I set up two new QuickBooks accounts for him last week for those two new companies. He set up his LLCs, provided me with the information. I went in because with us being QuickBooks Pro advisors, we get a 30% discount off the QuickBooks subscription that we can, of course, pass on to our clients. I, in turn, I'm charged for that. And so I charge them in turn for that service monthly.
So, Lashaun, I got to ask, how much is your QuickBooks bill, girl?
My QuickBooks bill is $1,300 a month.
But you're making it back. It's an investment. It is an investment.
And because of the sharing portion of, because QuickBooks now has a thing where you can get like a revenue share back, or portion of. But what I did years ago, they don't offer it anymore, but they used to have. I don't know if you remember, Veronica's called 5 for 5. I could
Girl,
get
I do. I'm so mad they don't got that.
Yeah, so I was able to get 5 QuickBooks subscriptions, QuickBooks Plus subscriptions for $5 a month, which I was grandfathered. I still have those subscriptions.
No.
Yep. So with taxes, it's like $5 and maybe 35 cents. Well, I in turn charge the client $60 for those subscriptions.
Period.
But they're still getting a discount because the current subscription with my discount is still $63 a month. So they would be paying close to $100 themselves if they were paying. So they're still getting a discount. But that I've held on to those things forever.
I know you do, as you should. So let's jump into some bookkeeping tips, because we have Lashaun on, who in my eyes is the bookkeeping goddess. She knows all the things. So I'm teaching financial tools classes currently through Mountain BizWorks, which is CDFI, a Community Development Financial Institute. So they help people with loans and education. And so we teach the basic do's and don'ts for small businesses. But I would love, Lashaun, if you can give some simple, effective bookkeeping tips that every small business owner should know.
Okay, great. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is some type of QuickBooks software. And I say QuickBooks because you could go with Xero, but I'm thinking about something that's easy to plug and play. If you didn't know a lot about QuickBooks or bookkeeping, QuickBooks is, I think, the easiest to use. And there's a lot of tutorial videos out there on YouTube. So I would have a software in place in order to track your books. So of course, having said that, you need your LLC, your EIN, your business bank account. The most important thing is not commingling your funds.
Please,
so you have to have a way. Yeah. No commingling. So you have to have, and you really always should have a separate business bank account. So you can pay yourself, of course, a distribution or a salary as your business grows. But the biggest thing is to keep those things separate. Also, I would have a dedicated credit card. So let's say you're just starting out and you haven't applied for a business credit card. If you have a credit card that's a personal credit card that has, say, a zero balance on it, you can bring that card into the business, and it's simply dedicated for only business expenses that you pay that bill out of your business account. So you keep everything clean. Also, I would use and utilize QuickBooks has a course right now called a feature called receipt capture. So when you're out to dinner with a client, or you ran to Home Depot and you're getting supplies for a job, or you buy any kind of materials cost, it's easy to snap that picture. You get to decide what the email address will be for your business. So it would be balancevirtually@intuit.whatever. And so they immediately, and again, it's your credit card that's associated and linked to your QuickBooks account. So that receipt is captured. You don't have to worry about keeping it with all that paper, but you do have to remember to keep your receipts for 5 to 7 years if they're regular paper receipts. Now in QuickBooks, if you did receipt capture, they're automatically. Also, I would carve out, another tip is I would carve out at least an hour a week to just keep up with your books and check your accounts. I know
Amen.
With my business account, I at least every other day, because so much fraud is going on nowadays, I go in at least every other day and kind of check my balances really across all my accounts and just make so nothing weird or squirrely as happen. Or if I went to dinner or, with a client, I want to make sure I wasn't double charged. I want to make sure that I actually have the receipt attached to that transaction. So those are some of the things that I think are really important. But if you can carve out an hour of admin time a week, and then at the end of the month, beginning of the next month, it's so important to reconcile your book. So if you wrote a check to pay a vendor, and the check hasn't been cashed, excuse me, and it's been 2 months. Well, the only way you're really going to know if you have a lot of transactions is by reconciling. So all the checks that you wrote, all the transactions that you wrote, starting your bank account out with, say, a zero balance when you first started. You go in at the end of the month, you have $7,500 in there. Well, what happened throughout that month? It's also a way for you to go, oh, I spent way too much on eating out this month, which I'm guilty of.
Yes,
Way
me
too
too.
much. Let me kind of bag that out a little bit. Let me kind of just make some adjustments. And also talking about your Mountain BizWorks class, when a lot of times you're going to get these loans or apply for these loans, the banks and the institutions want to see your profit and loss and balance sheet.
Yes, ma'am.
And you cannot create that without having some form of software that you use to capture all that information. And I think it impresses them that you are keeping up with your books in a software program, and you're not just having an Excel spreadsheet where you're kind of manipulating the numbers. And you also, with the reconciliation, they can clearly see that you're really trying to keep up with it. And in addition to that, your fixed assets. Or, in tracking, you can track your mileage in QuickBooks for your business. So there are several ways. So those are my top tips of things that I think that are really important for people to do. But the admin time and just saying, okay, I need to know what's going on with my books myself. Or if I'm planning to hire someone, I could at least give them a good overview as to here's what's going on with my business. Every time I go to the grocery store is for food and things I'm bringing into the office, for this card. So it cuts down on trying to keep up with all the different transactions.
There's so much stuff I'm gonna dig into. So
Yeah.
receipts. I have a
Yeah.
love-hate relationship with the receipt capture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you use it, and this is in QuickBooks, and you take a picture and you attach it? You don't let QuickBooks figure it out and match it for you, correct?
Well, you can't. So a client I recently, just the other day, set her up with receipt capture. She was
Okay.
struggling to keep up with receipt. So when it emails to the system, so I'll go into QuickBooks and I'll match it. So for my clients,
I like
I
that.
normally go into their accounts at least most of the times, 2 or 3 times a week. Because by the time it gets time to reconcile, I'm really like, okay, there's a couple transactions from the end of the month that I go click,
I'm
click,
always
click.
jealous of Lashaun. It'll be the second of the month, and she's like, "I'm done." I'm like, "Girl,
Yeah,
I just started emailing people. Send me your bank statements. Let me look at the
yeah,
stuff." But I have a lot less
yeah,
clients that I still do bookkeeping for. But that is the best practice: is minimum
yeah.
once a week. So you're going in multiple times a week. Great.
Yeah, multiple times a week. So it just takes a few minutes per client. So, and one thing I do like about QuickBooks, when you're QuickBooks Pro Advisor, I can see all my clients' accounts at one time. So
Yep.
therefore, I can easily look to see, okay, that client has 20 transactions that are not reconciled, or I'm sorry, not booked into QuickBooks through the bank feed. And so they give you kind of an overview and go, okay, that one has 7. So let me go in, and the ones that I know that are a little difficult, I'll say, hey, I'm this, that was a big charge. So I know you may have that receipt in a folder somewhere, but if the CPA, when I'm getting the books together, if they have questions, it's much easier for the CPA to be able to look at that transaction, scroll to the bottom, click on that attachment, and it keeps the workflow moving. And it also saves a lot of money not going back and, you bought a trailer. Well, where's the receipt for the trailer? That's a fixed asset. I need to make sure that's booked properly because we need to depreciate that asset.
Come on now.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So when I also use Google Drive, because I have some clients where they got a lot of
I do too.
receipts and they're grant based and you got to write on it. But I am seeing
Sure.
more and more people go to the receipt capture. So I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Yep.
Also, business credit. This comes up a lot, LaShawn. And I feel like in the beginning, just like your personal credit, you don't have business credit. So
Correct.
like you said, we always want you to get a legitimate business checkings account. We
Yes.
know that you can open up any checkings and 100% of it's business, but I feel like that's important in establishing it. And I like what you said. Well, then you can go to the route of maybe a personal credit card that is
Yes.
100% used for business, because all this is going to help you build your credit up.
period. And that is the goal. I recently upgraded my Business American Express card to a platinum card. The fee is outrageous.
Yeah, it
But
is.
the perks were, so really by the time I got the points associated with that, it paid for the, excuse me, the annual fee. But I
Mm-hmm.
also now, since I have that card, I'm now hearing from American Express, oh, we can offer you a line of credit,
Oh,
your
all
business
that.
a line of credit. So
Mm-hmm.
my American Express card, because I was using one of my personal cards for years and they could see my activity, I had to provide them, I believe it or not, was with bank statements or information when I initially was applying for my Business American Express statement to show them that I legitimately had money coming in, money, coming out legitimately, and my business was flowing. So that
Yes.
was, the biggest thing that I think that that's so important. Now, all these offers are going to be coming to you.
And especially since, really for me in the last 5 years with COVID and Hurricane Helene, it's been very important just to have access to money. So with a line of
Yes.
credit,
Yes.
it doesn't mean you got to pull it all out, but it's on a revolving and you can get what you need. And Lashaun, before we go, this show is going
Okay.
to air in May, which is Mother's
Okay.
Day month, and we're both moms. And Lashaun has
Yep.
adult children, but when you started your business almost 20 years ago, they were teenagers and preteens. So I would love
Yes.
if we could chat about being an entrepreneurship mother and just maybe some tips that you have, advice for women chasing their dreams while raising their children, maintaining a family, all that mom guilt that creeps in. How have you become this enterprise? Because Lashaun Scott is very modest, but she's low key Oprah. Okay. She has
Oh,
this whole empire. So how did you do it? Because we want to be like you when we grow up.
well, the first thing I did, because my office is upstairs in my home and it's 20% space, which you can deduct your home office from your business, by the way. Everybody keep that in mind. But I put a sign on my door downstairs that says, I'm up here making money so that I can take care of you.
Oh, it's
And so
something about
please,
visual.
yeah. And I also talked to them about what the process was and what I was trying to do. And so my daughter, Shantae, she is actually a revenue accountant for Proterra, which is now Volvo, the bus company, and she works for me part-time. So she's understand and followed me with the business over the last several years. And I think she's actually been working for me now for like 3 or 4 years.
At
So they
least.
have a good concept. Yep. She has a good concept of what the business is. My son, I'll have him run errands for me occasionally. But what I did was I really talked to them about the importance of, even though I was physically here and they can come talk to me at any time, I would take breaks and figure out what they needed. But from this time to this time, I really needed that time to grow my business. And now my daughter, hopefully one day, will be able to take over my business. So I think they are very proud of what we are working, because it's a collaborative effort. And my husband is very supportive of my business as well. And he's actually my cheerleader in terms of, well, maybe you can talk to him about this and go off for more business. And sometimes I go, honey, I'm full. I'm
Yeah.
full. But he's very encouraging. So all three of them, because it's just the three of them, have been very encouraging. And so I would just say to parents and to entrepreneurs, involve them and explain to them what it is you're doing in the process. I think it helps them to understand that you do need to, even though I may be here or I'm not at a traditional job, I am working, traditionally, like for our family.
Yeah, and I think if you put that structure and you stick to it, it's different
Yep.
when you say it, but then you're vacuuming and you're cooking. They're like, "Well, mom, I thought
Yeah.
that you were working." And same
Yeah.
thing with shout out to Gene, your husband, who how long have you been
Yeah.
married to Gene?
Gosh, this December be 35 years.
Me and Carlos trying to catch up. We just hit 16 last year, and my son is
Oh,
going to be
congratulations.
10. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And same thing, I'm trying to teach CJ,
Yeah.
like, this is mommy's job. Mommy's an accountant.
Yep.
He's going to be a rising fifth grader. Once
Oh
he
my
gets his
goodness.
math down really good, he's going to be helping me too,
Hmm.
which he's going to be on
Yes.
payroll. I have my husband on payroll
Yep.
also. That's something
Oh,
when
that's
we have you
wonderful.
back that we need to talk about, having your children
Okay.
and your family on payroll. But
Yep.
LaShawn, we're already to the end of the show. So much more I want to
Thank
talk
you
about.
so much for having
Yes.
me. Thank you guys.
The time flies. You did amazing on video. You're natural, of course. So I just would love if, LaShawn, if you can let people know how they can contact you if they need. I know you might not be taking new clients, but you never
Thank
know for consults. If you can just give your information, how people can reach out to you, and we'll also make sure that it's below.
you. Bookkeepingvirtually.com is my website. So you can go there and you scroll down to the bottom, my contact information. You could schedule a call with me. I'm happy to do free 30-minute consultations. And I also don't mind mentoring people or pointing them in the right direction as to where they need to start. So I'm
Yes.
always happy to do that. But bookkeepingvirtually.com is my website.
And one thing I'll add with Miss Scott, don't not show up to a meeting. She's not going to work with you. Do not show up late. Do not show up. This is a very busy lady. So I appreciate that about you, because when we were working together and partnering on some things, you would say, if people don't show up to sign the contract, if they're not showing up to the meetings, they're showing you who they are throughout that relationship. And I've been burned before, and I would think in the back of my mind, Lashaun said, don't take them on if they don't take you serious in the beginning. And you're right. Believe who people are, but who they're showing you they are to be.
Absolutely. Maya Angelou.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. And I want to thank the V team, everybody. Thank you, Lashaun. And for those watching and listening, you can continue to listen on Buzzsprout at veronicaedwards.buzzsprout.com, or the link is also on balancevirtually.com. We're available on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and of course, now we're on YouTube. So until next time, stay balanced and financially savvy.